Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and I'm very sad right now, and I think you probably already know why, but we're about to talk about it anyway, because this is the wrestling news, so let's take a look at the headlines. We saw two big returns on SmackDown last night, but we also saw a major faction split up. And we have reports that Vince McMahon is high on a new WWE personality. We'll tell you more in a bit. So we are kicking things off with the news of two big returns taking place on last night's SmackDown. One of these guys, great to see him back. Really, really excited about it. The other one, not so much. Didn't expect to see him back at all, if I'm being honest. And we'll talk about that one first. Lars Sullivan has returned to WWE. Yes, really, Lars Sullivan has returned to WWE. So WWE booked this seemingly random tag match, sort of came out of nowhere. It was Matt Riddle teaming with Jeff Hardy to take on Miz and Morrison. And it only lasted about 3 minutes. The babyface is going over, but it became very clear that this was actually to set up for the return of Lars Sullivan. And he came out, he's got a beard now, he looks a bit like Tyson Fury-ish, and he just decimates everybody. One at a time, just destroys them one by one. It seemed like he was paying special attention to Matt Riddle, so maybe that will be his first feud. But who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe it'll be Jeff. It's not going to be Miz and Morrison because they've been drafted over to Raw, and it looks like, Tyson 2.0 is on SmackDown now, otherwise I think they would have brought him back on Raw. So I guess it's going to be one of those two, or maybe both at once. Obviously, Lars has a history of taking on multiple men at the same time. The Lucha House Party, obviously, he killed them all at the Saudi show. And he's a man who is obviously incredibly controversial, and all of those forum posts were dredged up from years ago where he said some very, very racist things, and there were numerous reports of huge backstage heat. But obviously Vince sees something big in him. I mean, he looks like a special attraction. He's the freak, right? He's a massive guy who just beats people up, and Vince obviously sees money in that. So who knows what will happen next with that, but certainly unexpected, and to, I think, a lot of people watching, unwelcome as well. But what wasn't unwelcome was the return of Xavier Woods, who has been out for a long, long time, close to a year, with an Achilles injury. And that's two Achilles injuries that have come back, injured people from Achilles that have come back at Ember Moon as well. So 2 in 1 week. That's lovely, isn't it? What's not so lovely is what happened afterwards. So I'll run down what happened. Sam will tell you more in Graded shortly. But Xavier comes back to celebrate with Big E after he beat Sheamus in the first match of the night. Fantastic, fantastic match. So and Kofi's back as well. Kofi, Xavier, both celebrating with Big E. And then it's announced that Xavier, who is cleared to wrestle again, is going to be teaming with Kofi later in the night to take on the SmackDown Tag Team Champions Cesaro and Nakamura. And they win the match. We've got new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They're celebrating in the ring. Big E comes out, and they're all jumping about. They're bloody chuffed. And then the next draft picks are announced. First of all, going over to Raw are the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And then the next draft pick of that round is Big E on his own, which, let's face it, doesn't actually make that much sense, because like Miz and Morrison got drafted as a team. Why didn't Big E along with the rest of the New Day? I don't quite understand that, but obviously they've got big things in store for E as a single star. That's the direction that they're going in. To me though, and this is why I said I was upset at the beginning of the video, the New Day have been a constant on WWE TV for close to a decade now, and they feel like a proper team. They feel like brothers, right? And Kofi managed single success with Big E and Xavier with him as part of the New Day, and I don't know why they don't want to do that with Big E as well, if that's the direction that they're going in. They've proven that they can do it. There's obviously a lot of speculation that Big E is going to be turning heel, which I don't want to see either, because he's got so much personality, he's got so much natural charisma, he's so funny. And he's proved that he can get serious as well, but I don't want them to strip that personality away from him and go back to the Big E Langston of old. So we'll see where we go with that. But that was the The worst point of the night for me. Even worse than Lars coming back. Unbelievable, right? Next up, nice and quick, I'm going to run down every single draft pick from last night's episode of SmackDown. So there were 4 rounds with 5 picks in each round, headed up by Stephanie McMahon, of course. The first pick, it's none other than Drew McIntyre, the WWE Champion, who is staying on Raw. A lot of the big names, a lot of the title holders, staying exactly where they are. But I'll tell you more in a second. Roman Reigns staying on SmackDown as well. And I think that's really good, actually, because if Roman were to head over to Raw, obviously he wouldn't get lost in the shuffle because he's Roman Reigns and he's on the run of his career right now. But he's just got back and it feels like he owns the blue brand. So I didn't want to see them swap over. And Drew McIntyre doing great things on Raw. He's involved in the feud with Randy Orton, which will be going on for the next 7 or 8 years, I imagine. So long may that continue. Up next, the Raw Women's Champion also staying on Raw. Asuka staying on Raw. Seth Rollins is the first switch of the night, heading over to SmackDown. Rollins has been a constant on Raw for a long time, and he's Mr. Monday Night, really, isn't he? He just puts on the best matches. He's such a consistent performer, and whoever does end up on SmackDown, he's going to bring the best out of whoever he works with, because he's Seth freaking Rollins. The Hurt Business, the 5th draft pick. It shows you how high up on the totem pole they are already. I mean, they're working with Retribution at the moment, so that'll go on, I imagine, for a little while. And that's all 4 members, of course, including the US champion, Bobby Lashley. So that mid-card title looks to be staying on Raw, which I would assume means Sami Zayn will be staying on SmackDown, but that wasn't announced last night, just so you got 1 mid-card title on each. Up next, it's another switch. It's been rumoured for a long time because he doesn't like Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman's on SmackDown. You know what I'm talking about. AJ Styles heading over to Raw, and that makes a great deal of sense now, doesn't it? That loss last week to Jey Uso, the clean loss, just a bit of a hard reset for AJ, who I hope does really great things. I'm sure he will, because he's AJ freaking Rollins. Sasha Banks staying on SmackDown. Naomi switching over to Raw, which sort of unexpected in a way, because it looked like they were building something with Naomi, because they've been mentioning the fan support that she has, and then they just never really use her on TV. So maybe that does make sense that she's gone over to Raw. Bianca Belair heading over to SmackDown, and it's another bizarre one. She had a pretty impactful debut at WrestleMania, and then it all went downhill very, very quickly. They started airing vignettes for her on Raw, claiming that she's the EST of everything, and she is incredible. Such a great athlete. So hopefully they've got plans for her over on SmackDown. Up next, the Women's Tag Team Champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are staying on Raw. Speaking of staying on Raw, a man who's done great things on Raw. Truly, truly great things. And the only way is up for young Trev. Ricochet. If there's anyone in my head that I thought, they're going to go over to SmackDown because they don't know what to do with them on Raw, it would be Ricochet. And he's stuck there for a little bit longer. I'm really, really sorry, Trevor. Hopefully they've got something in mind for him. They probably don't. Jey Uso staying on SmackDown to continue his beef with Roman Reigns. And, of course, the rumours are that maybe, just maybe, Roman is going to start a faction, the Usos and Roman Reigns. Maybe add Samoa Joe in. I'd really, really like that. So it makes sense for them to be on SmackDown, of course. Mandy Rose staying on Raw. She's only recently just been drafted over there, of course. A weird one, because sometimes they draft the tag teams together, and she's in a tag team now, right? She's with Dana Brooke. That's a proper team. But they were drafted separately for some reason. Dominic and Rey Mysterio heading over to SmackDown, where I guess they will maybe continue the beef with Seth. I would expect to see Buddy join them. The fact that Seth and Dominic and Rey have all headed over there probably indicates that that's going to continue. And obviously it's just really getting started between Buddy and Aaliyah as well, wherever that's going to go. The Miz and John Morrison, another team drafted over. They're going over to Raw. Cool. And this just doesn't make sense to me, why they would split the New Day up when other teams weren't. But whatever. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, as I say, the tag team champions. The SmackDown tag team champions heading over to Raw. Big E on SmackDown. I've already expressed my upset. Dana Brooke heading over to Raw. Otis, and this is weird because they announced the Heavy Machinery were going to be drafted together, but Otis is staying on SmackDown away from his peach, Mandy Rose, so he's going to continue cracking on with the briefcase there. We didn't even see the bloody court hearing last night. Not that I was excited for it. Angel Garza is staying on Raw as well. And that, for now, is your lot, but the draft will continue very shortly on Talking Smack. We will keep you updated on WWE.com. Some big names there, but there are still some names to announce, which will happen on Monday, of course, and I'll see you there for the stream, youtube.com/cultaholic/live. And finally, Vince McMahon is reportedly high on a current WWE TV personality by the name of Aaliyah Mysterio. Aaliyah is, of course, involved in the Buddy Murphy stuff and is being featured fairly prominently on Raw. And WrestlingNews.co have stated, "Don't be surprised if Vince offers her a full-time contract. He sees star potential in her. You will see her in multiple segments on some shows going forward. She's great to work with, she's eager to learn, and if she wants to pursue a career here or anywhere in the entertainment world, then I think she will be successful." She seems pretty decent. It's a bit hammy, like the rest of the Mysterios. Their delivery is always a bit GCSE drama, isn't it? Not taking anything away. Obviously, Ray is incredible. Dominic's really good as well. But they've got that sort of breathy, like, oh my god, I can't believe you. Why am I ragging on them? Congratulations to her. Vince really likes her. Good for her. And she's got a new boyfriend in 40-year-old Buddy Murphy. He's not 40 either. I'm going to bed. I'm digging a hole here. Good night. God bless. Sweet dreams.